Now, there was a lot of excitement got generated when Marvel announced that they were bringing back Daredevil. Daredevil, of course, is one of the greatest superhero television shows. I don't think it's the greatest, but it's right up there. I mean, it's fantastic. I loved all 3 seasons. Charlie Cox, Vincent D'Onofrio was born to play Kingpin. Loved it. Now, a lot of people then started getting a little nervous when it started becoming apparent that this is not actually the exact same Daredevil. It's not Daredevil season 4. It's new iterations. We got some recastings done. Some characters that were there in the original show are not going to be here. All that kind of stuff. But I think there's still a feeling of excitement. I still think there's a general feeling of excitement about the show, and the fact that it's going to be like 18 episodes, which, I mean, completely bucks the trend of what Disney Plus has been doing on their stuff with crappy 6-episode seasons and whatever. So that's good. However, not everybody loves what they've been hearing coming out of, Disney and the whole return and the way it's returning. Because there are some people, including Stephen DeKnight, who was the showrunner of season 1 of Daredevil on Netflix. And by the way, he's also the showrunner of one of my top 3 all-time favorite shows, Spartacus, which also starred Aaron Cummings, was in that. I love Stephen DeKnight. I think he's great. But crying kind of foul and talking a little bit about why, instead of doing a proper like Daredevil season 4 and just taking that show and continuing it, he thinks there's ulterior motives for what they're doing. This comes to us from the folks over the Direct. Now, somebody got on the service formerly known as Twitter and wrote this. And not only did they cancel Daredevil once crew got full raises and holiday/vacation pay, the Disney Plus reboot is back to the season 1 IATSE contract terms. It is a effing scam. I wonder if Stephen DeKnight knows that. To which Stephen DeKnight actually responded and said, it is an old Disney scam where they rename a series to reset contract terms back to first season. Needs to be addressed by all the guilds, unions, and crushed. All right. Now, I'm not going to pretend that I have a lot of insight into how this particular thing works. But basically what's being suggested here, and Chris, maybe you can speak more directly to this, is the fact that there is certain rules that shows follow in contract terms. In the first 3 seasons under the IATSE contract, under the first 3 seasons, crew and all that kind of stuff for these shows gets paid a certain amount that's more limited, and they get limited benefits and stuff like that for the first 3 seasons. But once a show goes into a 4th season, salaries go up, benefits increase, all that kind of stuff. And what Stephen DeKnight is kind of suggesting here, Chris, is that one of the reasons that they're still bringing over Charlie Cox, still bringing over Vincent D'Onofrio, but they're changing it and making it a new show, he says their motivation is strictly because they don't want to pay IATSE members 4th season wages. They don't want to pay IATSE crew members 4th season benefits. They get to go back and reset it to season 1 of the contract. Now, I don't know if I buy it because, again, I thought immediately when they were going to bring Daredevil over, I immediately thought, with no thought about the IATSE contracts, is they're going to want to make this their own. They're going to kind of want to reshape this and make it a Daredevil that fits more into the MCU. They're going to make it their own thing. It's not going to be Daredevil season 4. But I also didn't know about those other things and how costly that could be. Guys, we want to take a second to thank a sponsor of today's video, Mint Mobile. Signing your life away to a big wireless provider is kind of like being trapped on a roller coaster from hell. Sure, it looks like fun at first. They probably even threw in a free phone, but now you can't get off. Month after month of insane bills and unexpected thrills, like overages and surprise fees. If that sounds like your current big wireless plan, it's time to get off the ride with Mint Mobile. For a limited time, wireless plans from Mint Mobile are just $15 a month. That's unlimited talk, text, and data for just $15 a month. You guys know before before I came to Mint Mobile, I was paying triple what I am paying now on the standard big wireless plan, and I will never go back. All plans come with unlimited talk, text, and high-speed data delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. Use your own phone with any Mint Mobile plan and bring your phone number along with all your existing contacts. To get your new unlimited wireless plan for just $15 a month and get the plan shipped right to your door for free, go to mintmobile.com/Campea. That's mintmobile.com/Campea. Cut your wireless bill to just $15 a month at mintmobile.com/Campea. You read the comments here. How significant are like the wage increases, benefit increases if they had done this as a season 4? And do you think that was part of their motivation for just kind of starting from square one again?
It's honestly hard to say because Daredevil was initially canceled about 3 years ago, 3 or 4 years ago now. And they didn't, I don't think at that time, have this plan of rebooting and bringing Daredevil into the MCU.
Right.
That being said, this is something that's been brought up a few times before with other Disney projects too. Joey Bragg, who was a child actor, he was on shows like Liv and Maddie and stuff like that on Disney Channel. He talked about how this was just something that Disney has constantly done. And it's why popular shows in the early aughts, like, a Lizzie McGuire or a That's So Raven or The Sweet Life, they would get canceled or they would end and have a new version of it pop up where those are counted as new seasons, basically because for those first 3 seasons, there's this loophole of being paid an 88% minimum or so. So 88% of what the minimums are. And then you would increase those once you get to that 4th season. And by doing this kind of soft reboot or pseudo cancellation, you then start from scratch and continue paying those minimums. So it is a pretty nefarious thing to do. Do I think that's what's happening with Daredevil? I'm honestly not sure because of that gap and because of this plan. Now, if it had been they canceled on Netflix and immediately started having Daredevil Born Again,
right,
then I would have been absolutely, that is 100% what they're doing. That timeline discrepancy is the only thing that I'm kind of clinging to of. I think Disney does that, but I don't think Disney did it here.
Let me ask you this question, because and this is not a rhetorical question.
Okay.
Let's pretend for a moment that the IATSE contract stuff, that you'd have to pay these crew members and all these. Let's say that wasn't a factor and that didn't exist. My initial thought was that once Disney launches their version of Daredevil, it was going to be a new Daredevil. Like it was going to be a new version, a new iteration, even with Charlie Cox still playing the role. Did you think that, or did you think that, if Disney ever picks it up, they're just going to keep rolling with Daredevil season 4? I don't know. How do you think they would have done it if the IATSE thing was not an issue here?
I'm honestly not sure. For the longest time, I was holding out hope that so many of the Daredevil players were going to return because we have Charlie, because we have Vincent. And I really love that Foggy. I think he's just so wonderful.
And for people who haven't heard, Foggy is not returning to the show. At least the actor who played Foggy in Netflix is not returning. And the Karen, was that the character's name?
Yeah.
Karen is not returning to the show, and the actress is not returning to the show either.
Yeah. So, and Disney from the jump was saying it was going to be a different version, a lighter version. And that's not something that we should, I hope, get upset about. It's just that Netflix version was very dark. That scene with Kingpin and the car door, even though we don't see anything, is harrowing. That is such a disturbing moment. And I don't know if that kind of energy is going to exist on Disney Plus. Maybe it will. Moon Knight got pretty gnarly in some parts. But I think that since Netflix really was never made part of the MCU officially, those shows, there were just references like The Green Guy, The Thing in New York, that sort of thing. I don't know if there ever was that plan to bring those characters into the MCU fold. And I think Disney is doing a lot of kind of cafeteria service right now. We like a little bit of this, but I'm going to pass on that. I like a little bit of this, but I'll put this on my plate instead. And I think that's really what they've been doing with these kind of Netflix properties. Oh, we really like Charlie, but maybe some of the other things didn't fire for us.
I know you're in SAG, you're not in IATSE, but would you have any sort of a guess?
IATSE people have skills. I can't build anything.
Because I have no concept here. Like, what kind of price tag could we be talking about? Like, what would be the difference between what Disney would have to pay out with this being a new show versus if they said, this is Daredevil season 4? Because you mentioned like it was 88% of pay scale for IATSE. Remember, we're not talking about the actors. We're not talking about the $1 million paid actors. We're talking about crew.
Yeah.
If you had to take a random guess, how big of a price difference it's going to be for Disney for one season of this new Daredevil as a new show versus it being a fourth season show, what would you guess that dollar value might be around?
It's hard to say, because if that 88% number is correct, right, we're then adding a minimum of 12% onto everybody.
For the crew, not the actors, though, not the directors.
Everyone in IATSE.
Right.
Right? So you are looking at this 12% increase. What that actually is, I am not educated enough to know what crew members make. Certainly not enough. Certainly not enough for what they do and how much hard work they do. Because crew members, you got to remember too, when we talk about actors being like, oh, I had to do overtime for a 12-hour day. The crew is there for so much longer.
Yeah.
And it is usually very physical labor. And they're also there to make sure we're safe, things look good, all that good stuff. So I'm not sure what that number would be, but I'm guessing for a company like Disney that, while so family friendly and so lovely, and I've worked for them before and I hope to work for them again, is known for being pretty strict and brutal with making those pay cuts where they can. So I'm guessing that whatever that 12% number is, it's enough to make the executives go, oh, no, that can't be budgeted in here. We got to use that for something else.
See, because on the surface, I don't think this IATSE thing has anything to do with it. But if some accountant came to me and said, oh yeah, the difference between them making this a new show and a season 4 is about $150 million a year, I would then become suspicious. I think at that point I would have to become, but you raise a really good point too about the fact that it's not like they ended the Netflix thing and the next day Kevin Feige said, Daredevil's coming home to the MCU. It was like years in between the cancellation ones, but I don't know. It's a really interesting situation. It's really interesting to see Stephen DeKnight's, the old showrunner's comments on that. And guys, what do you think? Do you think this has a big part of it? Do you think it had nothing to do with it? Whatever you guys think, let us know down in the comments below. Hey guys, thanks so much for watching this video. Make sure you like the video, leave a comment, and subscribe to our channel. And don't forget, we have a daily podcast called the John Campea Show podcast, available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or your favorite podcasting app of choice. Go and subscribe to it today so it'll be there when you need it.